Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into my week number 14 top 10 waiver wire ads of the week. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. We're going to be talking about our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook, a little bit later. So without further ado, let's get into my top 10 waiver wire ads of the week. We begin with my number one waiver wire pickup of the week, James Cook, running back of the Buffalo Bills, going up against the New York Jumbo Jets at home in Buffalo. James Cook is currently owned in 24% of leagues on Yahoo Fantasy, so if you play on NFL, CBS, ESPN, any of those other fantasy football platforms, then the ownership percentage is going to be slightly different, though I will note in some cases there might be a drastic difference in ownership percentage. Last week up against the Patriots in New England was really the first time we actually saw the team go full in with James Cook, not just kind of stick the tip in, just a little bit of James Cook. No, they went balls to the wall with James Cook in this game. Running back number 14 on the week in half PPR. Now this video is being recorded and uploaded prior to Monday Night Football, so if one of the running backs tonight ends up having a big game, then obviously James Cook might fall down a spot or two, and the same thing goes for every player in today's video. 14 carries for 64 yards, as well as 6 receptions on 6 targets for 41 yards. This was his first game on the year with over 10 half PPR points, and again, that is because of the increase in usage. If we look at his snap count, it increased drastically in week 13. In week 12, he was playing on 18% of the snaps. In week 13, he took that leap up to 43%, and in turn, this knocked down Devin Singletary from playing on 78% of snaps the week prior in week number 12, going to 44% in week number 13. So I'm not saying that James Cook has completely derailed any bit of value that Devin Singletary has, but what I will tell you is that if you can pick up a running back, again, 24% owned, on one of the best offenses in the National Football League, who might become the lead back, you should fucking not just walk to the waiver wire, full-on sprint to go pick up James Cook. My number 2 waiver wire ad of the week is going to be DPJ Donovan Peoples-Jones, wide receiver of the Cleveland Browns, going up against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati, 55% owned. Week 13 at the Houston Texans. Donovan Peoples-Jones shit the bed, wide receiver, 51.5 PPR, 3 receptions on 3 targets for 44 yards, but in reality, it's not his fault that he shit the bed. We can blame it all on Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson was doing his best Sam Darnold impression out there because he was seeing ghosts. He played atrocious. He was throwing the ball like fucking 6 yards in front of guys, like trying to do like a dude perfect trick shot where you bounce the ball off the ground and then the guy catches it, but that doesn't count in the NFL if you bounce the ball off the ground and the guy catches it. So they were awful passes in terms of the NFL. I think that Watson will get better. Now, again, this is just an assumption, and you know what they say about assumptions? They make an ass out of you and me, but I think that Watson is going to get better. I think that this was his first game back in Houston. The nerves were going. The Browns defense absolutely dumpstered the Houston Texans. So Watson having a bad day ultimately does nothing for the team. It doesn't subdue them, but to be honest, most quarterbacks could beat the Houston Texans. I do think, though, that Donovan Peoples-Jones will be just fine. I'm not super excited about this matchup against the Bengals, but as the fantasy playoffs are right around the corner, Donovan Peoples-Jones really is the type of a player that could be a league winner. At number 3, we have Zonovan Knight, running back of the New York Jumbo Jets, going up against the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, 47% owned. Week 13 up against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Running back 13 on the week, 15 carries for 90 yards, 5 receptions on 5 targets for 28 yards in a loss to the Vikings. Week 13 running back snap counts for the Jets. Knight played 55% of the snaps, Ty Johnson 33%, and James Robinson 11%. Now, obviously, there's a name missing from that list, and that is Michael Carter. And if Michael Carter plays this week, obviously, that is going to throw a bit of a wrench into things, right? It's going to potentially dilute this situation. But they traded for James Robinson, and they're still using Knight more than him. They're using Ty Johnson more than him. So if Michael Carter comes back, and he hasn't really been all that great, there's a chance that next week against the Bills, I know this isn't the best matchup on earth, Knight's 55%, and then maybe Michael Carter's 33%. Would that surprise me? No, they might be going with the hot hand approach, which is how they're approaching the quarterback position. So I think Zonovan Knight is incredibly interesting. At number 4, we have Cam Akers, running back of the LA Rams, going up against the, turn your volume down, the Las Vegas Raiders. 46% owned on Yahoo Fantasy. Week 13 versus the Seattle Seahawks. Running back 6. I bet you that's what you wish you had when you fucking drafted him first couple weeks of the season, because he didn't do shit until this week. 16 carries for 60 yards, and not one, but 2 tugs, 1 reception on 1 target. Week 3 snap counts for the Rams, 72% Akers, 28% Kyren Williams. It appears that with Wofford under center, John Wofford, that Akers will be taking a bulk load of the carries. Now again, I'm not here to tell you that everything's fixed with Cam Akers, that magically he's just going to be this league-winning running back. But how fucking funny would it be how everyone jumped on Cam Akers just being shit after like the first 2 weeks? And I was a part of that. And then just at the end of the season, out of nowhere, like an RKO from Randy Orton, this guy becomes a league winner. It would truly be hilarious. Again, it's not like Cam Akers is this upper echelon ad, but he does have the talent to do it. And the Raiders defense is not great against the run. At number 5, we have Michael Gallup of the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Houston Texans at home in Jerry's World, 53% owned. Week 13 up against the Colts, a masterclass performance for Michael Gallup, wide receiver 15 on the week. 4 receptions on 7 targets for 23 yards. And drumroll, please. 2 touchdowns, back-to-back games with over 7 targets in his last 5 games. He has gotten 6 or more targets in every game but 1. And I also have read that it is entirely possible that Odell might not even play this year. And again, when we're putting all this talk into the Odell rumor, it's not a guarantee that he's even going to Dallas anyways. And if Dak keeps playing at this incredibly high level, they're playing the putrid Houston Texans this week. Now, I'm not saying that Michael Gallup's a must-start receiver, but if you are in a deeper league and he's available and you need a pinch start, especially with all the players on bye, there's a lot worse options than Michael Gallup. I was honestly surprised to read that Michael Gallup was owned in 53% of leagues, because based on how he performed prior to this, which wasn't the best, I would have kind of assumed that people would have started to cut him. At number 6, we move to Jared Goff, quarterback of the Detroit Lions, going up against the Minnesota Vikings at home in Detroit, 50% owned. Week 13 up against the Jaguars. We had a huge game out of the Goffinator, Jared Goff, 31 completions on 41 attempts for 340 yards and 2 tugs up against that Jaguars defense. That was a fantastic watch for Jared Goff. He's looking really solid. Obviously, I don't think he's the quarterback of the future for the Lions, but pretty promising for him to at least be a backup going forward. He'd be like one of the best, probably the best backup in the NFL. The Vikings defense is absolutely dog shit up against the pass, according to DVOA. So I fully expect Jared Goff to potentially unload in this game. Like, he could really have yet another big performance. Jameson Williams is back. We're going to be talking about it a little bit later. Now, he didn't put up a crazy amount of numbers in his first week back. He actually scored 0 points. But hey, that's just another weapon to this offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown is fantastic. Again, the matchup's amazing. There's a lot to like for Jared Goff this week. But before we pivot on into the other 4 waiver wire ads of the week, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our sponsor over at DraftKings. Now, if you're a brand new user to DraftKings Sportsbook and you click on the link in the video description or in the pinned comment and deposit $5 or more into your sportsbook account and place a $5+ wager on any pregame money line from now until the end of December, you will receive $150 in free bets if your bet wins. So again, pregame money line wager on any team, any sport, and if it wins, you'll win $150 in free bets. So in my opinion, the best sport to look at for this, since college football is basically coming to a close and we're at the bowl games, is to just bet on college basketball. There are going to be large favorites that are minus 1,000 or bigger every single week. I'm going to throw it out on the screen right now, just my favorite pick of the day. You can go with something else if you would like, but those are the ones that are most likely to hit according to the odds on DraftKings. So make sure you guys do go ahead and check that out. Again, bet $5 on any sport pregame money line, win $150 in free bets if your team wins. And if you live in Maryland, they'll actually give you $200 in free bets. Now we move to number 7 here, which is Greg Dulcich of the Denver Broncos going up against the Kansas City Chiefs at home in Mile High, 37% owned. Week 14 at the Baltimore Ravens. Greg Dulcich balled out, tight end number 2.5 PPR, tied with my guy Easy Evan Ingram, 6 receptions on 8 targets for 85 yards. Now it's obvious that you are at the mercy of Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited, every time you play Greg Dulcich. And I understand that. I understand that Russell Wilson might just completely fall off the edge of the earth in this matchup, right? Against the Chiefs defense isn't the best, but like, again, Russell Wilson sucks absolute donkey hog, so it wouldn't be surprising if this was a disaster. You know how we talk about masterclass games? This could be a disaster class game by Russell Wilson, but Greg Dulcich does appear to be one of his top targets. Russ does love throwing to the tight end, so I think there's a lot worse options out there than Greg Dulcich. I know he was on a bit of a downward spiral over 2 games, but I think he's back now. At number 8, we have my guy, DeeJay Dallas, running back of the Seattle Seahawks, going up against the Carolina Panthers at home in Seattle, owned in 3% of leagues. Week 13 at the LA Rams, 10 rushes for 37 yards and a target. According to head coach Pete Carroll, Kenneth Walker jammed his ankle, and that, according to Pete Carroll, we will have to see what that means. Now, if you've been playing fantasy for a while, or maybe you're a Seattle fan, you would know that Pete Carroll is the king of spewing a bunch of bullshit. He's the king of lying about injuries. One of my friends on Twitter, Kev, made a joke about this, and I think I retweeted it because it was so fucking funny. He said that Pete Carroll will just lie directly to people's faces about injuries. He said that Chris Carson was going to be fine, and then Chris Carson fucking retired because his neck injury was so fucked up. So, again, I'm not saying that it's a guarantee that Kenneth Walker is going to not play. But what I will tell you is that Pete Carroll has a history of kind of bending the truth a little bit, and maybe, just maybe, DeeJay Dallas is the guy you need this week up against the Panthers defense. And especially if you have Walker, you need to add Dallas. At number 9, we got Jameson Williams, J-Mo of the Detroit Lions, going up against the Minnesota Vikings, 46% owned, like I talked about earlier. His first game back, they eased him in. Wide receiver, 105.5 PPR. And that's just, wide receiver 105 is just everyone who scored 0 points. So he's tied with like a million other people. 1 target, no receptions. Wide receiver snap counts in week 13 for the Lions. Amon-Ra, 87. Chark, 84. Josh Reynolds, this is in terms of percent. They weren't playing that many snaps. 87% Amon-Ra. Chark, 84%. Josh Reynolds, 79%. Khalif Raymond, 17%. J-Mo Williams, 11%. Again, I think they're going to continue to ease him in. So I don't think against the Vikings, again, while this is a wet dream matchup, that Jameson Williams is going to magically play 50% of snaps. But, and this is a big but, Mia Malkova, we might be just a week or 2 away from them fully unleashing the beast of Jameson Williams. And that could be a league-winning wide receiver. At number 10, we have Corey Davis. Now, we're kind of, the waiver wire this week, let's be honest with you, it's a little bit grim. It's a little bit bleak. So Corey Davis is basically just a flyer, a shot from not just half court. This is from full court. Or imagine you're at the Y. I think they have Ys everywhere because it's fun to stay at the YMCA, you know what I'm saying? And you're just fucking launch one from 2 courts away. Bang into the 3. That's what you're hoping for with Corey Davis of the Jets going up against the Buffalo Bills. Kind of scary matchup in Buffalo, 13% owned. Week 13 up against the Vikings in Minnesota. Wide receiver 26.5 PPR, tied with my boy, Titty Boy, Tee Higgins, 5 receptions on 10 targets for 85 yards. Again, I'm not banging the drum aggressively for Corey Davis, but if you're in a pinch, again, there's so many fucking teams on bye this week. There's worse options than Corey Davis, Mr. CD. So thank you guys for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as well as hitting that like button. It is kind of important to note as well that fantasy football is ending relatively soon, right? We're knocking on the door of the playoffs, and you don't necessarily have to stop playing, because if you've never played daily fantasy before, we have a free pass for you for NFL DFS. You will get NFL for 3 days for free using the link in the video description down below, all of our projections. Now, on Sunday, I won $5,000 playing DFS using our projections. So again, all you gotta do is click on the link in the video description. I would probably wait until closer to next Sunday, to activate this offer so you can, use it on Sunday for the games. You get full access to the NFL everything NFL Stokastic has to offer, NFL DFS projections, NFL DFS ownership, 1v1 tools, lineup generator, top stacks tool. Again, join the community. Fantasy football might be coming to a close soon for you. You might get knocked out of the playoffs, but you can play DFS all the way through the NFL playoffs. So make sure you guys check that out. Link in the video description. I love you guys all so much. Hope you all have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always,